Yeah.
Great Scott! Look at all these people. Wow! I guess you've seen coming to see the DeLorean. Welcome everyone to my class. I'm Elrina from Prokon. And yes, welcome to Back to the Future with Revit. The idea of this class is really to show you some forgotten tips and tricks heading back to the future, as well as new tricks that might have arisen recently in Revit. I hope I won't bore you to death after the lunch session, which which was great. How have you guys been enjoying the day so far? Has it been good? Awesome. I'm so hot in the swing right now. Okay. Before we start, I please want you to just, for those of you that have not yet filled in the feedback forms that was handed out earlier, please, it will be sent around from the back, so please just fill in those forms. Alright, so let's get starting. So as I said, we're going to go quite fast. There's quite a few tips. It's literally, you might know them, you might have forgotten about them, you might never knew that they existed. So let's see what we have. First of all, we've got keyboard shortcuts. Who uses a lot of keyboard shortcuts? Awesome. I use them so much that when I give training, I don't know where to find the tools. So always have the people think probably I don't know the software because I have to go looking for the tools. So for those that don't know keyboard shortcuts, typically if you see a tool with the CL or whatever acronym in brackets, it means that's the keyboard shortcut. And as opposed to AutoCAD, you do not need to press enter after you've added that keyboard shortcut. It just opens up the tool and you can carry on doing what you need to do. Then also KS is the keyboard shortcut for keyboard shortcuts. So it'll open up your entire list of keyboard shortcuts available. And as you can see, this one, for instance, PP for properties, it means it is a keyboard shortcut to open up your properties. You can assign anyone that you want. Revit will tell you if that shortcut already exists, so you don't need to, you won't have duplicate shortcuts with different tools. And the cool thing is you can actually export this list. So next time you install a new Revit, you can import it again from there, or in fact send it to someone else, and so on. Next, transfer project standards. A lot of questions that I receive is, but how long does it take me to set up my project template? It takes forever for any of you that have been unlucky enough to do it. It takes really forever. So if you have already started with projects, you don't need to wait for your template to be perfect before you can start a project on that template. You can use this tool, Transfer Project Standards, and as you go along with your let's say, call it a pilot project, as you go along with it, you can, obviously you change your settings and so on and so on. So at the end of the time, or at the end of your project, you've got a template, right? So you'll just take that entire project, open up your new project, go to Transfer Project Standards, both has to be open, and you can just select from the specific project that you've already finished. You select which types or which standards you want to bring across to your new project, and then you're ready to go. Then all your templates and all your types and everything that you've set up previously is available in that project. Link collaboration model. This is a new feature in Revit 2018. You know, you can link in Revit, you can link in a CAD file. Now you can link in a Navisworks file, and this means that any format supported by Navisworks will show up in your Revit models. Awesome. Obviously, the intelligence won't really be there, meaning you can't explode it, you can't copy monitor from that model, but at least you can use it as a reference. And you know, it's there, so who knows what the development team might add in future. And also then it will render using the Navisworks engine. Design options. Who's the architects in the room? Awesome. How many times have you had to redesign your models because the client didn't want to do it, or didn't want it like this, or the engineer said, no, we can't use these, we rather need to use that? How many times did you have to remodel? It's ridiculous. Now, well, design options has actually been around quite a long time, so it's nothing new. But that is the exact same model that you're looking at there. It's not two different models, it's one model. There's a feature called design options. You activate it, you can have multiple design options for multiple areas within your model. So you can have a 2 or 3 design options for the foyer area, you can have 2 or 3 design options for the, I don't know, the bar area, whatever you want. And you can have multiple options as well for each area. Depending on what's happening, you literally just swap out the one from the other one as you go along, and in the end, if you've decided on one, you just make that specific option the primary one, which means you'll see it everywhere. It kind of also beats the issue that I've found people asking me, but what if we needed to revert back to a previous version? This is not the best workflow for it, but it might assist with keeping that previous version alive just for a while until, you know, you're sure that you need to go forward. Enhanced global parameters. This is, again, a new feature in Revit 2018. How many of you have had to do families in Revit, start a new family from scratch, right? And have you wished that some of the tools are available in the project side of things and not only in the family? Right, so global parameters allows us to create labeled dimensions, if I can call it that, which means I can control multiple areas of my model with the same tool or same dimension. So I'm going to play this short video. So you'll see I select it, I click on the little pencil, that looks just like my family parameters in the family editor. I can give it a label, I can show that label, and then I can literally just take a different dimension and add that label, and it'll apply whatever the parameter is for that specific label. Right. That's amazing. Okay, some quick tools to select something you just selected, used previously or deselected just now. Control, the left arrow will select the previous item. Nudge, do you know you can use your keyboard arrows to nudge elements up, down, left or right? The closer you move into that element, the smaller the increments it jumps. The further you zoomed out, the bigger the increments it jumps. Okay, that's quite nice. Then these selection tools. I've never used this in the industry purely because they were not there when I was working in the industry. So just to quickly run through them, that is a linked model. So if you've got a linked model and it's got a rooi kruisie on it, it means you cannot select the linked model. And I know that I needed to tell you guys this because multiple times I get calls saying, but I cannot select my linked model, or I cannot select pinned elements. Pinned elements being things like your beam systems or even trusses. All the elements in your beam system or your truss are pinned to that system. And now you wanted to change the member on that truss or the beam system, and you can't because that is switched off. So just go through all of them, all the same. So selecting underlay elements, selecting pinned elements, selecting elements by face. Brilliant. How many times have you tried to select a slab, but you've got upstand beams or a wall there, and you cannot select the slab because you need to select it on the edge, right? Just switch this off, so that, or on at least, so that you can select it by face. I tend to not like working with that constantly because it does get annoying if you're trying to select something behind the wall or behind the slab, and now you can't because that thing's on top. So that thing is really nice. Dragging elements by selection, yes, I know you have done this. You wanted to pan and then you moved your entire slab out of the way, right? Exactly this. So when that's switched off, it means you have to first select the item and then drag it. So you don't have that, oops, click the wrong button and I wanted to pan so it moves. So if it's off, you have to first click it before it moves. Then this is a new thing in 2018, background processes. If you have used Advanced Steel with Revit, this is now one specific example I can give you. If you've used Advanced Steel with Revit and you sync your model back from Advanced Steel, it took like a while, you're sitting there waiting for the connections to generate and so on and so on. Now it's got the background process, which means that you can carry on modeling, and in the background, those connections will generate and the beams will change in size or whatever change needed to happen. So no stress about waiting there for and making a cup of coffee. You can still do that if you want. Right, opening tools. Opening elements by face. There's a shaft opening tool. That one is really cool. I actually prefer that one to any of the others. If you have a lift shaft or something going down, I had to do this. I never knew about that tool, so I had to, every floor, I would create the opening, and then some other way, they did not line up. It's annoying. But the shaft opening tool allows that, so it's a void family, basically, so you just give it a bottom offset and a top offset, and it cuts through everything that goes through it, except for beams. Yeah. Then the by face opening is also really cool. If you've got, if you wanted to create maybe a castellated beam or something, it allows you to cut the web of the, the beam or whatever other element you've got. Wall openings, self-explanatory, and then vertical openings going through anything vertical, and then the dormer cuts through a roof. Creating similar items, this is also nice. I hate it when I have to redraw a wall or redraw or add a new wall or add a new beam or something, and I forgot the type of element. Now I have to select it, and then you have to go find it. And you just select the item, right-click, click on Create Similar, and it adds all the parameters that was added to that specific element, meaning which level it was on, the constraints of that specific element, and it allows you to create the exact same object again. Purge. Yes, use this tool. Be sure to just make check before you just click on OK. It will only give you a list of elements that is not being used in your project. So you don't have the problem of, I needed that and things missing from my model. It won't happen. It literally just gives you a list of the unused items. It says purge unused. So it's really great to go through, because I know a lot of people that open up a new blank model, starts loading up families and families and families, and then at the end your model becomes so big because of all those families that's added in there. Just go purge it. It's on the manage toolbar. Purge unused. You can go down into every detail, so you can unselect item by item. You don't, so it's category and then type, so you can go and purge each one separately. Decal. This is, so on the insert tab you can insert an image, but that will only be available, well, it'll look like an image, a flat image. If you wanted to add it in a 3D view, so for rendering purposes, architects, you will add the decal. You will only see the image though once you render. You will just see it like this if it's not yet rendered. So at least you'll know that there is a decal. Character map. This is a new feature in 2018 as well. At long last, I'm like, really? So you always had to remember your Alt keys if you wanted to do a diameter symbol or a radius or a degree or whatever, center line symbol, angle symbols, all of those. Now it's literally in your right-click menu. Right-click, choose symbols. There's your entire list. If you're not happy with the list, you click on Other, and it opens that same window that you see in Word. Opens up that same window. You can go and run through your character map. The Autodesk App Store is also now added on the, it's not the quick access toolbar, it's the one on the other side, on the right-hand side. So there's a little shopping cart, and it literally just directs you immediately to the App Store, where you can find Autodesk certified apps for your Revit and so on. The project browser, I've heard many times people asking me, but I don't want my project browser to show me levels or layouts and then levels and then this and this and this. You want it in some other order. Literally just go on your View tab, open up User Interface, choose your project browser organization, and then you can set up rules to your heart's content. Do you want it alphabetically? Do you want it organized by discipline? Whatever you want, you can go and organize your project browser exactly as you wish in there. Show the reference plane. This I feel is, well, the only place where I found it very, very useful is specifically now aimed at engineers, structural engineers. where you needed to do maybe a roof on an angle like this with your beams, and obviously you'll add your beam system. But now the problem is you'll have to take every beam and offset it to get your angle. Go to your elevation, add a reference line, give it a name, go to any of the roof levels, set that reference plane as the active reference plane, or work plane, sorry. So set it as the active work plane, which means whatever you will now create will be created on that angled work plane. So what I do with show the reference or the work plane is whenever I am not working on the default work plane, which would be your level or a section or whatever, I would just show it. So just as a control for myself, so I know I'm not working on the default one. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but a beam, you can't really just move it from first to second floor. You would literally have to copy it to the other floor. You can't just move it. Because what is it called? The reference plane is grayed out in the properties of that beam, so you can't just change it. So make sure to show your plane before you add it, and then it's just an easy control to know you're not working on the default plane. The selection, tab key allows you to do selections. I know of a few times that there's so many items so close together that you're struggling to select the element that you're looking for. You just leave your arrow in the vicinity of where it is, press your tab key, and you'll see, let me just replay that. You'll see how it cycles through available options. So I'm not doing anything on my mouse. My mouse is just where it is. And I'm pressing the tab key and it's cycling through all available options. So you press that until the one that you want to select is the highlighted one. Then you can click and you're ready to go. The next option of a tab key is it allows you to select a chain of elements, like a chain of walls or a chain of beams. And I'm just hovering there, so typical, if you just hover over the wall, it'll only highlight the one wall, so I click. If I wanted to select the chain, I would hover, press tab, it'll select the entire chain, and then I click to select the thing, okay? Rotating elements, spacebar. How many of you know this tool? Just a few, awesome. Okay, I'm saying awesome because it means I'm actually teaching you something. Right, so spacebar, you can use your spacebar before or after you place an element to rotate it. So the rotating works like this. If I'm on one line, it'll rotate by 90s. If I'm on two, it'll rotate on 45s. And whatever angle you're on, it's going to try and align itself to that angle, adding either 90s or 45s. So there you'll see it increments weirdly. I don't know, I don't do math. Some of the Rivet extensions available, I just wanted to bring out two, is on the modeling tab. So you've got your Rivet extensions installed, so then you'll have an extension tab. You'll have a modeling tool there. It's got a grid generator, so no need to go and draw in one grid and then offset or array them, both directions. It generates the grid. So you just add your parameters. This is the distances I want. These are the amount of grid lines I want in whichever direction, and it'll generate that grid for you. The same with element placement. It'll apply those elements on those specific places for you. The other one on the extensions are the tools, which I also like. You can compare models. I've not really tested that one, so I'm not sure to which extent you can compare the models. But element positioning, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, beam 1, beam 2, beam 3, beam 4, door 1, 2, 3, 4. It does that kind of automatically for you. Or the new word I heard this morning, automagically. That's the word. Right, displacement views. I think this is new since about 2013, 2014. It wasn't there forever. And I do actually see this for architects, and now recently I do see it for engineers as well, especially when you're doing the Revit connections, the steel connections, because it allows you to literally explode your view to better clarify maybe your design intent or whatever you wanted to do there. Right, so these just show that that wall will be moving down here, these will be moving up there, and so on. Keynoting. Who knows about keynoting? Just 2 people in this room knows about Keynote, 3 people. Okay, so what do the rest of you do when you need to annotate drawings? Do you type it out? Your annotations? What? My goodness, don't stress, I did the same. So keynoting is really, really brilliant, I think. It's basically a text file that gets saved with your project, which allows you to add automatic descriptions to your elements, right? So, well, you get the two types of keynotes, the one being material keynotes, the other one being element keynotes. They use the exact same text file, no difference between the two. So obviously the material keynote you'll find in your material library. If you go to the identity of the material, you'll find keynoting there. So it looks the same as this one here. If you click on either this button or that button there, it'll open up the text file for you. But it looks easier to read than a text file. So basically what it is, it's grouped into different categories, and under each category there's subcategories, and so on and so on and so on. You can create your own one. It's really not that difficult. I'm not a programmer in any sense, but it's really not hard to go and create your own text file, which you can then also obviously share or add as part of your template, so that you know in future everyone will have the correct description. And the good thing about this is you won't have spelling mistakes, and if you do, you go and correct your text file and then it just updates it on or wherever you had this keynote. So then you also have, when you annotate, you're not going to use a normal annotate tag. You will use the keynoting tag, so that one for element keynote, that one for materials keynote, and then user keynotes is just, if you can use a keynote. And then to display it, there's also options, as you know. So you can either display just the code, you can display just the description, or you can display both. Those are just a keynote tagging family, like any other family in Revit. And then you get a keynote legend, which is not there, it's under view and then create keynote legend. And that's basically that. So it's just going to give you a schedule of all the keynotes that you've used, which you then can obviously put on your drawing. So if you are using the keynote notes only showing the code, that's perfect to just, it helps to not, decongest your drawings. Okay, more awesome tips. Can I have a different mic? I need both hands now. Sorry, just give us a second. Does it work? Hello? Can you hear me? Not? Hello? Hello? There we go. I can hear myself. Right. So some other tips. I wanted to show you some of them live. The first one being a new tool as well in Revit, hosted railings. It's mind-blowing. We used to always struggle to host a rail in Revit. You could literally host it on the staircase pretty much, and then you have to draw the path wherever it is, on a slab edge or whatever. I see people smiling, so they're like really excited for me to show this. Alright, so hosted railing, I'm going to show it to you somewhere here. I'm going to go to my site layout, and I'm actually going to use my site to add this rail. So typically for a boundary wall or a retaining wall, even a railing. So it's still an architectural tool, so we go to architecture, we'll find the railing tool there, and I'm going to sketch my path as I'm used to. I'm going to choose to pick a host. I'm going to pick my host. I'm going to draw my rail, like you are used to. I'm going to finish it. And if I go to my 3D view, you'll see how very nicely it follows my contours. This is a tool that you've been waiting for like ever. Okay, so this works for literally, you can host it on a ramp, for instance, or on a wall, or whatever. It follows the host that you are placing it on. How many of you used to always create stairs using the stairs by sketch tool?
Not anymore.
Like everyone that used to work on Revit way back when should put up their hands. Right. The reason why I'm mentioning this is they phased it out. You do not add a stair anymore by sketch. You can still now convert your stairs by component back into a sketch should you need to modify it. But other than that, you just have the stairs by component tool. So, and also remember the stairs by sketch tool. You could actually just in the properties say that it goes from the ground floor all the way through to third, but it'll only work if all your levels were the same height, right? Remember that? Because it didn't recalculate every level for the amount of risers needed. So now, if I choose the stair, oh no, I should choose the whole stair. I will say, edit sketch, no I won't. Go away. I would choose the stair, there we go. I'll say edit the stair, and why is it not working with me? Let's go to a level, maybe it'll work there. Where's my stair gone? Oh, there we go, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so you choose the stair, choose connect or disconnect the levels. It's going to ask me to go wherever I can see my level lines, so I'll just go to my east elevation, which one ever. I'm going to choose to connect to a level, so I'm going to choose my new level that I wanted to add it to, finish it, and if I'm going back to my 3D view, it connected it there. The notification that I got here at the bottom just told me that there's a difference in rises between the one stair and the second stair. The reason for that is, if you go and look at my levels, you'll see that there is a difference in height. There you go, so I'm going from 3A to 4.2, so there should be an increase in rises. And again, just to very quickly show you, it does connect very nicely to my upper level. It starts where it should start, it ends where it should end. There's no problem or discrepancy or going through my slab or anything like that. And if I choose the stair itself, the top one tells me there's 25 rises. Let me just show you. There we go. I've got 25 rises. The other one down here, that one shows me that I've got 22 rises without me needing to add it or increase it. So it's using the same calculation rules that it did for the bottom run, just adding it to the top. If I did that by mistake for some other reason, again, you just choose your stair. Go to connect, disconnect levels, again go to your elevation, choose to disconnect the level, that's the one, and you just right back where you started. And you can also add your hosted rail to the stairs like this. Choose a stair, run, and it'll just host your rails. Quick copy. Do you know about quick copy? Okay, so how would you normally copy this? Just select a few, click on copy, copy it down. Okay, I'll just hold down Control and drag it. Well, drag it with holding Control. So literally just hold down Control and drag the item and it quickly copies it for you. Okay, and it does obviously also align, as you can see there. I'm just being messy. But it does align to wherever you want. Just like you would normally, copy from one point to another, reference point to the new location. It works perfectly. Then, picking a line to place a beam. Did you know you can do that? Structures, do you know that? I'm going to just swap to a different model here. So let's go to, I'm going to go to this level here. I've got a grid line on a curve here. And I'm just going to use the pick line tool to add the beam on that curve. There's my pick line. Choose the grid line, and I've got a beam on a curve. Okay, so it's not only for on grid lines. If you've got a reference line, if you've got a DWG there at the bottom, underlaid, you can use that as well. So yeah, that's quite cool. Then, do you know what the difference is between picking a wall or support when you're adding a floor, or just picking a line when you're adding a floor? Do you know there's a difference? No? Okay, let me show you. Okay, so I've got a little roofie here. Steel structure. I'm going to do 3 sides with picking the supports and then 1 side picking just the line. So just like you would normally add a floor, you have the options in here. So this one is picking wall, and then that one is picking support, and then that one is picking line. This one you typically have whenever you're in sketch mode. So I'm going to use pick support because there's no walls. So pick support, choosing one in each direction. Typically it also, when you choose pick support, it selects the center line of the object that you're selecting. So in this case, it's going to choose the center line of my beam. If I had a wall, it'll typically choose the either side of the core of the wall, if you know about setting up walls into different layers. Okay, and then this side, I'm just going to pick a line, so I'll choose any line. Let me just trim it off nicely. And if I finish this, if I go to, let's go to 3D and see if I can do it in here. So remember this side, I chose pick line. So if I select the, even though I chose pick line, but I used the beam as the line, right? You saw that. So I'm going to select that beam and I'm going to drag it out. And it just, well, moans at me because now it's a beam system, that's why it's moaning. So I'll just say unjoin just to give you an illustration. On this side, I chose pick support. So I'm going to do exactly the same. Choose that support, bring it out, and see what it does to my slab. So whenever you're doing anything that is in sketch mode that allows you to pick support or pick wall, as soon as you create that element, it stays connected to the object that you aligned it to, right? You'll also now notice I did choose the center beam as my support, but if I choose this one and drag it out, it's just not going to do anything. So I always teach people you don't need to choose a beam in, all the beams in that one direction when you're creating your floor slab, purely because you don't want multiple lines in the same direction. But it'll make sense to do it like that if you're scared that your floor will kind of disconnect to your beams, right? It's better to keep them connected. Okay. AutoCAD files. How many of you have wished that you could get your AutoCAD hatch patterns into Revit? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and have you managed to do that somehow? You have? Okay, cool. But let me show you for those that never wish to do it. Hopefully now you will want to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to go to just a detail view just to go and create a filled region. So filled region, normal filled region. I'm going to go there. Now I hope I remember where I put that file. Filled region, I'm going to go create a new one. Duplicate, yes. We always duplicate. And then there, I'm going to choose a pattern. But now I'm not finding the pattern that I'm looking for here. You agree? So I'm going to go and create a new one. This is very limited. It's really annoying to me because you can do lines, 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 or lines. That's pretty much your options. So I'm going to go and create a custom one. And I'm going to go and import. Now, if you go to if the class Hannah that you guys will get, not physically, but on a stick or somewhere in the box, I did add the link on where the pattern files are stored on your computers if you have AutoCAD installed. So it's just a .pat file. That's pretty much what it is. So now I have to go and look for mine because I can't remember where I put it. Let's see. If it's maybe here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Okay. AutoCAD.pat. That is my normal pattern file from AutoCAD installed like just when you install it. I didn't do any customization on it. So I'm going to open that. And now I've got my entire list of AutoCAD patterns in here, which I can now choose from. So obviously it's not going to bring in all those patterns all at once. You're going to choose one, save it, duplicate it, create another one, right? So let's see, this thingy, can I go bigger? There we go. Oh, that doesn't help a lot. Let's see which one. There's the ANSYS, there's a concrete one. I think it's the the sand, the earth one that's always missing in Revit. There we go, that's earth. Click OK. Oh, it already exists. So I've obviously tested this on earth. Okay, so let's just add it. Yeah, here we go. And then you just add it, and it's there to work with. No problems. And this will also increase or decrease in size depending on your scale, because it's a drafting hatch. Okay. Did I teach you something now? Did you know about it? Do you know that you can do a little bit of clash detection in Revit? Like tiny bit of clash detection. Do you know, how many of you does need to do clash detection? Yes. A lot of you need to do it. Okay, so I'm saying limited because it's only hard clashes for those that does know Navis works. There you can do hard clashes, soft clashes, tolerance clashes, and a lot of different ones. This is literally object against object or object inside of object. No clearance checks, no soft clashes, no tolerances added. It's literally if the one is inside of the other, it's going to tell you there's a clash. So I'm going to, where am I? Yes. So this is on the weirdest place for me. It's on the Collaborate tab. You'll find interference checking. Don't search for clash because you're not going to find it. That's what I searched for. So interference checking, I can run an interference check. If I've got a model linked in here, I do have the option to choose it from here. Then current project, so I'm just going to clash within my own project. I'm going to see if there's any flaws clashing with any structural foundation. So just to give you an idea of how it looks. And you'll see that some of the items does have subcategories that you can also open up and clash those elements against one another. Okay, so let me get out of that, and I'm just going to click OK. And it picked up all my clashes for me. So now let me see if it'll show it to me. Yeah, I know. Just open this view for me. There we go. Okay, so if I open it up, it'll tell me this floor with ID number that clashed with this foundation, ID number this. You know how the ID numbering works? Do you guys know? Not? I'll show it to you now as well. Okay, so it does show it to me. If I select it, obviously if I select the floor, do you see how it highlights my floor? If I select the foundation, it'll highlight my foundation, and it's that little one there. So it is telling me that it is clashing. It doesn't really give me more specifics than that. It doesn't tell me what is the exact clash, like are they inside of one another? It doesn't tell me the details. But you can see the entire list here, so I know it's all my foundations that's clashing. So I'm going to just go to maybe my east elevation, and I know it's completely within my floor, which is incorrect. So I'll just choose my foundations, and I will just drop them with 300. And let's see if that sorted it out. So I'm just going to run the same interference check again from my floors and foundation. Oh no, that's running. Foundations, click OK, and now there's no clashes anymore. So this works brilliantly if you've got, I don't know, columns, and you maybe found it on a staircase when there was a column that was accidentally moved into a staircase. Excuse me. So it does just assist in that kind of final last minute things, because as I said, you typically want to plan and then you move something and you don't realize that you've moved it. So it kind of just helps clearing that off. Parts and assemblies. Do you guys know that you can create an assembly in Revit? Now don't be fooled. Assembly is not the same word used as a workshop assembly, like a column and the base plate and things like that. Basically what it means, it is creating a group out of a few elements that you choose you want to create a group of. So let me just select this. I'm going to create an assembly of that, including the weird beam there. So the assembly tool is here on your ribbon. It's these little 3 blocks that you see there. And all it really does, it groups those elements together. So I'm going to click, and it's just telling me, I think it's the pinned items that it's just moaning about, but it does allow me to do it. So I'm going to just call it roof structure. You give it a name, and you'll see that in your project browser, right at the bottom, it just now added the heading of assemblies for me. Now the idea with assemblies is not to group elements and then copy it instead of using the group tool. You can, it's not the greatest idea, rather use the group tool for that. The idea with assemblies is to create automated drawings. Now I'm doing automated drawings because it's not going to dimension, it's not going to annotate your drawings. It just basically creates views for you. Views that you decide what you want to create. So I'm going to go to my assembly, so if you can see it there. And I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to say create assembly views, and it's going to give me a list of available views that I can create from that assembly. I'm not going to choose anything specific. You can add a view template to every view. So when it creates section A, I want you to use this or that view template. So whichever you want. You can, deselect it if you don't want those views to be created. You can choose on which do you want it to create a sheet as well for you. It's not automatically adding it to the sheet though. At least it's creating the views, which already sorts out quite a lot of time. And then you can also choose the title block that you want to add to that sheet. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to do its thing. And if I now just go more down here, you'll see there is all the views that was created for this. And I'm just going to quickly run through it. Depending obviously on the template that was used, you'll see that it literally creates a view as if that was a standalone structure in my model. So you'll see that these, if you remember correctly, those columns are on a concrete floor. it doesn't show me the floor because the floor wasn't part of my assembly. And these are now just the sections that it created to create the different views and so on. So you're still going to have to go and open up your sheet and drag it to your sheet and put it there. It's literally just views that was created. But it's still cool. I like it. If you just want to disassemble it, so you can just go to your 3D view, select it, because it looks like a block or a group, it's one solid object. You can just click on disassemble. You can also go and edit that assembly if you want to add another beam, or you accidentally added one that you want to now not have part of the assembly anymore. So you can go and disassemble it. If you disassemble it, it is going to delete all those views that you just created. So don't do it if you've already done a lot of annotating and things on the views. That's just going to waste time. View filters. I never knew why structural engineers would want to use view filters until one day someone gave me a call and said, we use concrete and steel columns in our model, and we want to have a way to differentiate between the two. Now, as you know, concrete columns and steel columns are all under the same category of structural columns, right? So when we are using our visibility graphics, whatever you change to the category of structural columns will apply to both, whatever the material is, timber, steel, or concrete. So that's not a solution. So the only way that we could figure it out, which obviously makes much more sense to me now, is creating view filters. In the architectural side of things, view filters are typically used for fire ratings through walls. Well, that's not really architectural, but fire engineer, fire ratings through walls and things like that. Automatic view filters are applied when you are starting to look at areas for the architectural guys in your project. If you're looking at room areas and so on, then there's automatic view filters that get applied. So just to show you how you would go and do it, on your view tab, you'll find filters. And this is where you will set up the filter, like what is the criteria of this specific filter and which category is part of this filter. So all I did was create a new view, you give it a name, you choose the category that it falls under, and then you just say that if this category contains a word or a symbol or is equal to or less than or greater to, all the if statement rules that you can get, you choose then the filter should apply to that item. It does not yet tell me what should happen, it just says that just look for that criteria for the moment. So I've just created the 3 fire rating walls, or at least categories, that applies to my wall categories. So that's what you do. Then you can go to any of the views that you want to apply this in. So let's go maybe here. I'm going to go now to my visibility graphics, and under my filters, I'll now go and add those filters to create the view that I'm looking for. So I'm going to click on add, I'm going to say 60-minute fire rating, and what do you want to happen? So project or the projection or what, so I'm just going to say cut, give it a color maybe, and a solid pattern. That's not solid. Click OK, and it is colored. So I'm not going to do the other two, you get the gist of it. Okay. Orient to view, I think this is amazing. Not a lot of people know about it. Sometimes you're really struggling to understand where the section in your model is, or how does this tool or the specific view that you're looking for, how does it look in 3D? Because it doesn't make sense to you on 2D. So all you need to do is go to your 3D view, click on this little button here, say orient to view, choose whatever type of plan or layout you're looking for. I'll say section, choose a section, and your model will rotate, apply a section box to that section so that you're looking at exactly that detail in 3D, which is cool. Obviously the depth of the section box depends on the view depth of your section line that you drew in, so obviously if you change it then it'll be shorter. Then the last one I quickly want to show you before you run out is duplicating views and view templates. Do you guys know about view templates? Have you used view templates before? Some of you nodding, some not. Do you want me to show it to you, the view templates? Cool. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to do is, I'm first going to duplicate my view. So duplicating views, there's 3 options. You can just duplicate it. It means it just duplicates the 3D geometry. The second one is duplicating it with detailing, which means if you had any dimensions or annotations or symbols or tagging on it, it'll take that with on the duplication. The third one is duplicating it as a dependent. This means that if whatever happens in the one view will happen in the other one, even if you add annotations and dimensions and things like that. If you just use normal duplicate and the duplicate with detailing, if you add more dimensions in the one, it's not going to add it to the other one. So dependent really works well on that. Okay, so that's duplicating. Now what I want to do is I want to create a view template. For this view that I copied, I want only to see my analytical model in this view. So I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to switch off model categories, switch on my analytical. I'm going to go here and maybe let's just grey out my grid lines. Let's just make it halftone. Okay, and I'm happy with the view that I'm looking at the moment. Cool. I want to do exactly the same to my other views. I don't have time to do all 4 steps that I just did. I'm going to create a view template. So right click, create a view template from view, give it a name, analytical. And yes, here you can, it literally adds anything view specific to your template. Scale, display, anything that you wish. You can include or not include it in here if you don't want to. Click OK, and then those 2 or the rest you can literally control and select all of them from your project browser, right click on it, apply my template, choose the one you want and apply it, and if I now open up those views they look exactly the same. Okay, so my time is up. Can you believe it? I didn't think I had enough tips for you. Ooh, that's a funny. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, you can grab me outside if you've got questions. We're at the Prokon stand, so feel free to ask questions.